morning. Can everybody hear me? Just wanted to welcome everybody to our September meeting for the Small Brokerage Council. We have a couple items to speak about before Walter starts with his presentation. I'd like to welcome Heather today from the Realtor Foundation, who wants to give us a quick 1-minute talk about what the foundation does. And then two, we'll have Colleen Blondell speak to us as far as running for the RRAR Board of Directors that's having an upcoming election. Okay, Heather.
Hey guys, thank you so much for having me. I am Heather with the Realtor Foundation, and we love having Colleen on the board and so grateful for your support in the past. It really does help us transition families from homelessness to stable housing. Super excited to report that last week, best day of my job ever. It would be like a culmination of if you have every single closing in one day. For you guys, we distributed over $13,000 to 5 local housing nonprofits. And that really is what we're all about. I'm hoping that in 3 years, I can call you back and say we're doing 50,000, 100,000, because I know that that's where we're going to make the biggest impact in the community. And now I'm going to make my acting debut, which I will do anything to raise money. Okay. This is just a whole nother level. Okay. Okay, guys, I'm wiped out. I'm exhausted. There's a September stampede to stop homelessness, a panic, a rush, a hurry, kind of like the current housing market. So let's transfer that energy. All you're doing to get your clients in their houses between now and September 30th, make a donation of any amount and text it. I'll put it in the chat. We're that cool now. We have text to give. All this money, again, is going to help people get to their next best place. And we know that when realtors rally, neighbors win, and they win big. And hopefully we can distribute some more money this month. So thank you, and continue to do good works and take good care.
Thank you. Colleen?
Thank you. Thanks, Chris, for the opportunity to just speak real quick. Heather, I've enjoyed being on the Realtor Foundation, and I think if everyone on this call can like the Facebook page, Heather will put that in the chat button there. But I think that will really help, as well as giving a small donation is always appreciated. But I am running for director position on the board of directors, and the opportunity for all of us to vote is October 5th through, I think, the 8th, through the end of that week. Such a small percentage of the 9,000 realtors that are members of our association vote every year. So your vote and your really counts. So there's a lot of good realtors in the area that are running. I do appreciate the opportunity to work for you and to be a director. I did run last year and I did not get in. So again, I would love your vote. I don't want to go over my bio, but the bio is listed on the Raleigh Regional Association page. But as Heather mentioned earlier, I'm on the foundation, on the board for the foundation. I'm vice chair for Small Brokers Council that's putting this on today, and then going to be chair next year. I'm also on the forms committee for our statewide association and on the grievance committee, et cetera. So I would love to represent realtors in our area and really be a voice. So appreciate your vote, October 5th.
Thank you, Colleen. And now we'll move on to Walter, our star performer here today.
I don't know about star. I mean, after Heather putting on a hat and going into costume and character, Heather, you are my new best friend. That is it's impressive. That's good stuff. But today,
whatever you do, you just know you'd be like, what Heather did. So you're golden.
That's right. And we're going to talk about what Heather did today. I think Heather's going to be my main example when we get into some of the things we discussed. But today, what I'm going to give you is hopefully something that's going to give you some better results in your life, whether that's your personal life, your business life, and maybe let you have some more fun. Maybe get you to that point where putting on that hat is a little less uncomfortable, but hopefully it will also allow you to not feel so out of place, maybe give you some harmony and some peace. And I think most of all, and if you're like me, you don't like those, that feeling of frustration that you may have when you're working with people. Anyone have that feeling of frustration when you work with people? Just me? Okay, well, all right. You don't have to be shy. Okay, so what I know is that working with people is difficult. We work with all kinds of people. And then on the flip side, one of the most difficult things is leading ourselves. And when it comes to ourselves, I want you to think for a minute. Do you think you have a good handle on your talents, your gifts, and your unique abilities? What do you think? Yes, no, maybe? Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to share my screen. And we're going to go to, bear with me. All right. How many of you remember this comic strip, Charlie Brown? I'm probably aging myself. If you're not a Charlie Brown fan, I sure am. But here's Charlie Brown. And one day after striking out, Charlie Brown, says to himself, this is his All Rats comic strip here. And, he says out loud, but, really it starts in his head. I want to be a big league player. I'm never going to make it to the big leagues. My whole life, I've dreamed of making it to the big leagues, but I'm never going to make it. And Lucy, true to form, always right there for him, right? Charlie Brown, I think you're thinking way too far ahead. And you can see in his face, if you look at that square, she's like, you need to think more immediate goals. And Charlie Brown's like, right on, immediate goals. Yes. And then that moment, that ray of light, she shatters. She's like, start next inning when you go out for your next pitch and see if you can make it to the mound without falling down. Now, some of us here today, we may have had those Lucys in our lives, right? Maybe some of you today, you have Lucys in your life right now, right? But maybe it's even a little worse. Maybe you didn't have Lucys at all. Maybe there was no one to give you that positivity, that affirmation, that encouragement at all. But if you had that type of background, finding your gifts, finding your talents, you had to work extra hard to get to where you are right now in life. Because you always stopped short of your potential, because you weren't willing to pay the price to go to the next step. You didn't have that encouragement to go to swing the bat one more time. So you start looking for shortcuts. You start looking for the easy way out. And I think most of us can agree that shortcuts, they can get us there a little bit faster, but do they always pay off? And in shortcuts, can we take someone to the same place if we're not willing to go all the way? See, whether it's in our business, whether it's in our family, whether it's a leadership position, it's fair to say that everything we do we go uphill. And stay with me for just a minute here. And I promise I'll change the slide. But that word everything, think about that word everything for a minute. Everything's all encompassing. And then it's paired with worthwhile. Things that are desirable, things that are good, things that are beneficial, things that you're attracted to. And then uphill. It's challenging. It's exhausting. It's tough. And then all the way. Why is all the way significant? Because here's the thing, and you guys will relate to this. Anyone can climb the hill for a short period of time. Anyone can be in the game at least once. But can they do it day after day? Can they do it year after year? Can they do it crisis after crisis? And you got that little voice in your head. You've got that little Lucy. You can't make it. You're not going to do it. See, I've got that little voice in my head that reminds me all the time of all the things that I cannot do, of all the things that people told me I can't do. I call him Herman, and he reminds me all the time of what I can't do. Maybe you've got that little voice in your head of why you can't go uphill. Why you can't be at the same pace as the real estate agent down the road. But regardless of what you're going through today, I'm going to give you some tools that's going to help you, going to help the people around you, maybe your teammates, maybe your family, going to help you go to the next level. All right, so I want to take a quick poll. And well, maybe let's do this. Let's do this. Let's go into a breakout room. If I can get into I'm gonna put you in a breakout room, and here's what I want you to do. 2 questions. I'm gonna put us in a breakout room, and I want you to think of 2 things. I want you to think of, first of all, something that you're grateful for. Something that you're grateful for. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, what's your purpose for being here today? There's a reason why you came to this meeting, this session, if you will. What's your purpose for being here today, and what are you grateful for? So I'm going to give you just probably 2 minutes. When you get, maybe, how many people do we have all together? We have, okay. So I'm going to do five rooms. When you get into the room, select one person right off the bat that's going to be the speaker for the group, okay? And then that person's going to report back. When we come back, that person's going to be like the presenter to the group, and we'll just have a general, one person just kind of give a general consensus of, some of the highlights from the group, okay? So maybe 2-3 minutes in the group, go fast. What's your purpose? And why you chose to come to this meeting today. So I'm gonna put you in breakout rooms. Here we go. I often tell people, if we were live and in person, if I was on a stage and you were in a room, I'd be walking around and I would have went to each group and I would have interacted with you and spent just a minute in your group listening in. I was able to hop into one or two of the groups, hearing some of the feedback, laughing with you. And I want to hear from, one or two of the speakers that you selected, of maybe one of the highlights of your gratitude moment. What you're grateful for. Anyone want to share one or two of the what you're grateful for?
This is Betsy. Our group was grateful for our health in these trying times and for the ability to continue working as realtors.
All right, health and working. Okay. Anyone in any of the other groups have something different than what Betsy added?
Hey, this
Sarah,
is
go ahead.
Tally.
Go ahead, Tally. Sorry.
For our group, we had health as well. I think we're all going to have similar things based on the world today. But the other thing we're very grateful for is our family too, just to be able to see them at times in person outside of just the screen. So
Nice. So seeing your family, seeing your loved ones, something that we probably took for granted back in February of 2020, right? A lot of times it was a hassle to go for Sunday dinners, maybe. And now we embrace that time. All right. Any of the other groups have something different than health, family, working? Anyone have
I
something
think that we're
different?
all reflecting along the same thing where, India is 9 months pregnant, so very thankful for her health, for herself and her baby. And Paul hadn't been able to be social. He plays trumpet. He hadn't been able to see his group in a while, so he was able to play his trumpet recently. And I just moved into a new home myself personally, so very thankful that, COVID has changed a lot of our lives. And so being able to get those small little snippets, you realize and you appreciate so much more when it's taken away from you. And like you just said, taken for granted. And it's kind of a nice realignment for everybody.
Yeah, appreciating the small things. Yeah,
Yep.
Just a great reminder. So thank you for sharing just your gratitude moment. It's just I really love dropping in and just kind of centering what we're thankful for. And one or two of the reasons why you said yes to being here today. And if you were forced to be here, it's okay.
Now, I'll go ahead and I'll speak. The most important reason, my firm offers DISC training through Tony Robbins for every single agent that joins our firm. And I wanted to get somebody else's perspective on the DISC, personality assessment and how they find that function. Just because our company uses Tony Robbins doesn't mean that there's not other viewpoints. And that's why I'm here. I want to hear your viewpoint on DISC.
Excellent.
Yeah, we had another kind of purpose around the DISC, and that was since we're all kind of members of a small brokerage, using the DISC to understand making better hires or partnering with the right agents based on their personality type and the way that we want to grow our small firms. And then also using that DISC to understand our strengths and weaknesses in our businesses and how to better interact with our clients that way.
Excellent. Okay. Fantastic. Well, I may just switch up the whole teaching today and just do a straight out DISC. But let me just say what I'm going to give you today is top of the waves DISC, very basic introduction of what I do with DISC. If you want, I will give you when we're done, I can give you an example of one of our 32-page detailed reports with our graphs and all of those. And if one or two of you would like kind of a sample for your firm, I'll take you through and do something like that with you also. I have no problem doing that. But one of the things that I tell people also from the stage is today, what I say to you, you ready for this? You're either going to laugh right now or you're going to get mad at me, okay? What I say is not important. Aren't you glad you're here? What's important is what you think. You may have a shift in an idea. You may have a new thought. You may have some kind of thought process from the information that I deliver, that I give to you today. You may have some new jump in your awareness, and you may have an aha moment. That's what's going to be important. That's what's going to be the change. That's what's going to give you a whole new set of possibilities. Earl Nightingale once said that ideas are like slippery fish. If they're not gafted by the pen, they're gone forever. So have a pen and pencil with you and write down those new thoughts. Because a lot of times when they come, they go just as fast as they enter your mind. So why would I have you open up with asking you what's your purpose for being here and why you're grateful? Because I want you to, first of all, I want you to step out of your comfort zone, okay? I want you to step outside of your comfort zone, and I want you to open yourself up to a greater awareness. I want you to, start to think differently today. I asked the question, and you may have heard this. This is a quote. How do you order your steak? Most people in America will say medium, and that's how they go through their life. Medium. Just at a steady, slow pace. I want to shift that for you today. I want to shift that type of thinking for you today. You guys are all real estate agents. You guys all do things differently. You're small firms. You guys think differently. And here's the other thing that I know about differently. Okay. You have probably heard the word no today, right? And if you haven't heard the word no today already by 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, you're going to. And giving yourself a gratitude moment, something to be thankful for, it helps you shift your focus. So if you came in this morning and you opened up an email and someone said no, or a deal fell through, you weren't feeling all happy this morning. So a gratitude moment is just a quick way to say, hey, I'm thankful for the small things. I'm thankful for the Raleigh Regional Associates of Realtors for having me here today. I'm thankful that came off the tongue nicely. That's a mouthful. But let's jump into our purpose today. Our purpose today is to help you discover your DISC style. Now, if you have your little booklet that I sent you, if you have that out, go to one of the blank sheets that have lines on it. If you don't have it, if you didn't print it, it's okay. I promise. You're going to be all right. Don't stress. Stress-free environment today. Number your paper like 1 through 20. Just straight down on the line, left side is fine. 1 through 20. And here's what we're going to do. I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I'm going to flip a slide. Those of you that do not like PowerPoints and slides, this next series is going to be like the death of the PowerPoint, okay? So I do apologize, but we're not in person. and it's Zoom. So it's like the death of PowerPoint. But I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to read it. I'm going to run through, choices. And you select the very first thing that pops into your mind. And if it's a D, you write D. If it's I, you write I. If it's S, you write S. If it's C, you write C. And I'm going to reread it again. So it's going to go fast. Do not change your answer. Write what is the best selection for you as soon as you hear it. Okay? Don't just, as you hear it, you're like, oh, that's me. Write it down. Everyone good? All right. Here we go. Don't ask questions. Just go. I'll stop when we get about to number 10, and then I'll ask a question. Okay? We'll take a little break at 10. All right. Here we go. People often encourage me to D, slow down, I, listen, S, hurry up, C, try something new. People often encourage me to D, slow down, I, listen, S, hurry up, C, try something new. 2, if there is something I really want, I would work for it, ask for it, save for it, plan for it. If there's something I really want, I would work for it, ask for it, save for it, plan for it. 3, I do not like being told what to do, doing the same thing, sudden changes, making mistakes. I do not like being told what to do, doing the same thing, sudden changes, making mistakes. 4, if I had my choice, I would be in charge, be adventurous, help others, do things the right way. If I had my choice, I would be in charge, be adventurous, help others, do things the right way. 5, when I'm doing something, I do it quickly, procrastinate, work with someone else, make it perfect. When I'm doing something, I do it quickly, procrastinate, work with someone else, make it perfect. 6, when I'm upset about something, I get angry, pout, become sad, become quiet. When I am upset about something, I get angry, pout, become sad, become quiet. I want to make my own choices, be with a group, do what makes others happy, follow the rules. I want to make my own choices, be with a group, do what makes others happy, follow the rules. 8, I think rules should be challenged, are boring, make us safe, make it fair. I think rules should be challenged, are boring, make us safe, make it fair. 9, when I'm with my friends, I am leading them, encouraging them, helping them, planning with them. 10, when it comes to my office, room, or space, keep out. It is messy. It rarely changes. It is organized. When it comes to my office, room, or space, keep out. It is messy. It rarely changes. It is organized. All right, we're halfway. Am I going too fast? Do I need to slow down? Am I good? If I'm good, just kind of give me a thumbs up. All right, it looks like the general population is saying I'm good. So we are going to continue with the next half. I am very competitive, talkative, friendly, observant. I am very competitive, talkative, friendly, observant. Sometimes I'm too bossy, forgetful, undecided, picky. Sometimes I'm too bossy, forgetful, undecided, picky. People see me as serious, adventurous, calm, careful. Serious, adventurous, calm, careful. In a group, I tend to be taking charge, talking, helping, listening. In a group, I tend to be taking charge, talking, helping, listening. I can be bored, distracted, patient, thinking things through. I can be bored, distracted, patient, thinking things through. I'm at my best when I am in charge. I am around others. I am helping someone. I do something perfectly. I'm at my best when I am in charge. I'm around others. I am helping someone. I do something perfectly. When faced with something new, I will figure it out, jump right in, take time, ask questions. When faced with something new, I will figure it out, jump right in, take time, ask questions. I finish what I start when I want to, sometimes, eventually, on time. I finish what I start when I want to, sometimes, eventually, on time. I say things exactly the way I feel, to make others laugh, to make others feel good after I have time to think. I say things exactly the way I feel, to make others laugh, to make others feel good after I have time to think. You have now just completed the basic DISC questionnaire. Now, let's decode your DISC analysis. Count how many just go down and count how many D's you have and total that up. Count how many answers were I's, how many were S's, how many were C's. What letter, after you do that, what letter had the highest number? Got some. Brett, Scotty, welcome to my world. Heather, are you an I? Sam, a D and an S. All right. Okay. Now, we're just getting started. This is just, we're getting ready to take a deep dive now. Once you have that total, I want you to get ready because, all right, so Debbie's a C, Pam's a C, Kelly is an I. All right. And you still have something to write with. I want you to, those of you that are still tallying, I can't help you count your tallies. I want you to, I gave you a number sheet, okay? If you've already been through DISC, if you've already been competed in a number sheet, don't cheat. But if you never have participated in this, then I'd like you to go ahead and do this because this is going to be good. Take out your number sheet and let's have a little competition. Everyone have their number sheet? If you do, give me a thumbs up. All right. On your number sheet, I want pens down, pencils down, eyes on me, and just listen for just a second. I'm going to give you 30 seconds on my little clock here. Let me get that going. You're going to have 30 seconds. And when I say go, you're going to circle a number starting with 1, and you're going to go in sequential order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. And when you find 1, then you got to find 2, and you got to go just like that. But you're going to have 30 seconds. Ready, set, go. $20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pencils down. All right, everyone, here we go. How many, make sure your pencils down, eyes up here, come on now. Any John Maxwell fans out there? Okay, all right, well, so just so you know, this is competition. So this is a autographed John Maxwell 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth book. So how many of you got 5 or higher circled? You made it 5 or higher. All right, Robin, Samantha, Chris, anyone else? Rebecca?
Betsy.
All right. Betsy. All right, how many of you got 8 or higher?
Betsy.
8. Betsy. 12?
Yeah.
12? 15? Samantha, was this your first time doing this? Was that a yes or
No,
no?
it's not. No.
Oh, well, all right, so time out. First time doing this, and you got higher than 5. Okay.
Betsy.
First time doing this, you got higher than 12.
I got 12.
All right, Betsy got 12. Robin, how many did you have? Higher than 15?
No.
I got 14.
Who's that got 14?
Pam Castle.
Pam got 14. Tally, how many did you have?
16.
16.
Good job.
Anyone higher than 16?
Come on, Brett Davis, you want this.
All right, so
but I only got 13.
who had 16?
That would be me, Tally, but I already have that signed copy. So give it to the next person. I got it from when I did the 15 Valuable Laws recently.
Okay, so we're going to go to, we'll pass this on then. Who had below?
I had 14.
14, Pam.
Yeah.
If Sonia, if someone could write that down for me. I'm writing it down, and if we can connect, I'll make sure that you get that. Okay, now watch this. Here's your number sheet that I just gave you. Look at your sheet. You see the little hash marks at the top, at the bottom, on the left, and on the right. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. What do you notice? There's a pattern. There's a pattern. What I want you to do now is take out that same sheet. Take out, or not the same sheet, the next sheet. All right. You see the 4 quadrants. You can draw a line on the 4 quadrants. And I'm going to give you another 30 seconds. You know how far you got the last time. Watch what happens. Everyone ready? Give me a thumbs up if you got your second sheet. Ready? Go. 20 seconds. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pencils down. Let me ask you a question. Did your numbers go up?
Oh, yeah. I went 12 to 18 now.
12 to 18. How many people doubled?
I went 4 to 23.
4 to 23. 4 to 23. Anyone else have like just crazy results? See what you just experienced. There we go. What you just experienced is the power of knowing a pattern. When you know what to expect, you get better results. I just proved it to you. I was a little sneaky, but I proved it to you. The same holds true when you're communicating with people. The same holds true with people. People in your lives, people you work with, people you're selling to. When you become aware of how they communicate, it's you can prepare, you can interact with them better, you can respond to them better, and you can have a much higher success rate. So what we're doing, DISC, William Marston, all right, all this started just real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, but DISC started in the late 20s, early 30s. William Marston, his book, The Emotions of Normal People, and DISC is a blend. It's a blend of primary styles: dominant, influencing, steady, and compliant. You'll hear me say DISC, okay? But dominant, influencing, steady, and compliant. And what I really want you to understand or to take away is that DISC is not meant to put people in a box. It's not meant to just say, well, you're a D and that's it, okay? So each of us is a combination, a blend of D, I, S, and C. We all have each one of those characteristics in us. What I'm going to give you today, what I'm showing you today, is how to recognize patterns in people's behavioral styles. And when you lean into your style at certain times, you're going to see your own natural strengths. Sometimes you're going to see your weaknesses, but what it does is it brings out the best in your relationships. And whether those relationships are at work or in your family, it can be a game changer for you and help you keep going uphill time after time after time again. So Maxwell method of DISC and D, I, S, and C. And here's another test for you. How many of you love getting on an elevator? The doors open, and what do? You secretly hope that the moment those doors open, there's nobody on that elevator. Because you're worried that if there is someone on that elevator, someone's going to try to talk to you. And if there is someone on that elevator, you look at your feet, you look at the panel, you look at the floor numbers, you watch them change, you wish that the elevator would go a little bit faster. You probably start to sweat a little bit, worrying that they're going to still ask you what floor you're getting off of. Raise your hand if that sounds like you. Anyone? All right. Now, if that is you, you're a little reserved. You're in that C and S area. Okay? You're steady. You're compliant. Now, same elevator, but those doors open up and you rush right in. You can't wait to see who's on the other side of that door. You want to ask them what floor they're going on, why they're here, if they're with a conference, who's at the conference, if they want to go to the bar for drinks later. You want to know, the family history, and if they can go out, after the bar. You want to know if they go out later, invite them over for Thanksgiving dinner, those types of things. If you're like that, you fall in the outgoing area. You're our D's and you are our I's, our dominant and influencing people. Okay. Now, just to kind of bring this home and just keep this going, you are going on vacation. You're planning a vacation. Are you focused on what needs to get done? Are you thinking about mowing the lawn? Who's going to take care of the dog? What kennel is the best? You got to get the car taken care of for service. You got to get the oil changed. Maybe you're lining up everything that has to be done for work. Does the hotel have Wi-Fi? I got to make sure I can check all my emails before I go. If that sounds like you, I'd ask you to stand up, but we all might be wearing shorts. So let's just raise our hands. We've been sitting for a while. We may want to spin in our chairs. But if that sounds like you, guess what? Your task, you're into the task. You're a C and you're a D. You gotta be ready for work, all right? So vacation mode again. You're focused on who else is going. You're caught up in thinking all about who you're gonna see, the fun experiences. You're thinking about, it's gonna be so much fun. Now, if that's you, you're thinking about the people now. Just point at all the D's in the room, all the C's in the room, because those are the people that are going to help you get to your vacation. They're the ones that are going to get all the work done for you, and so that you can go on vacation. But your I's and your S's are people. They're into the people, not the task. All right, your D's and your C's are into the task. Your I's and your S's are into the people. So the Maxwell method of DISC. With what you answered those 20 questions, and I just kind of gave you, a little, hopefully put a little smile on your face with the elevator, with the vacation. Is it still lining up? Are things lining up for you? Let me turn off my screen so I can see your faces. Are things lining up? Is those 20 questions, are they matching what we just went through with the elevator and the vacation planning? Does that still sound like you? Give me a thumbs up if things still sound like you. Okay, all right. All right. Now, let's go just a little bit deeper into our 4 characteristics of DISC. Our D style. Okay, folks that are a D, you guys make up 3% of our population. D's seek control. You focus on results. You focus on results so much that you're always working towards something, okay? You're super proficient in multitasking, and you will embrace change. If you're a D, you're always looking at change to get the next result. You're always looking at change for the next result, okay? That is the D personality. 3% of the population. Your greatest fear is someone taking advantage of you. Your greatest fear is someone taking advantage of you. That's the D. Now the I. Look at the I, the bright yellow shirt. Look at me. I's persuade people by speaking. Super spontaneous, super friendly. They want the spotlight on them. It's estimated that I's make up 11% of our population. Now, if you have some of these characteristics, and remember, we're a blend of, we have D, I, S, C in all of us. Now, if you remember, there was one or two of us that said, well, you know, I had 2 characteristics out of the 20 questions. So we're a blend, and that's okay. So greatest fear of an I is rejection, loss of approval. Rejection and loss of approval. Now here's an S. Focused on the team. They're focused on loyalty and acceptance. When you have an S on your team, an S is a very quiet, reserved individual. When an S speaks, listen, okay? Listen, because they hold everything in, and when they share something, it is super important to them. So if you have an S on your team and they raise their hand in a meeting, or they come into your office and they say, I have something to say, make sure you listen. If you have a spouse that's an S and they come home and they say they need to talk, you better make time and you better talk. I'm just telling you, S's, when they speak, make time. Now your C's biggest fear is criticism. C's are so much into the details. If you have a C, and C's make up about 17% of the population. Oh, and if I didn't say it, S's make up the largest part of our population. But C's are rule followers. If you set up details in your office and you set up, like be on time, don't be late for meetings, and you show up to the next meeting late and you have a C on your team, you better be ready, because they're going to be upset. C's also will ask lots of questions. And when they do, don't take it as them being confrontational. That's how they ask, and that's how they get their facts. That's how they get their details. That's how they make their decisions. Lots of questions. Now, John Maxwell says that connecting increases your influence in every situation. And you guys know that in order to be successful, especially in your business, you have to work with others. And it doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how caring you are. We don't get far unless we know how to communicate well. Given what I've just shared with you, we all have blind spots, what I call blind spots. Things that we don't see in our leadership that cause problems. And I'm going to give you an example. When I was an early principal, my personality, my DISC profile is a DI. So I am under pressure. My D is way up here. Okay. So I am fast paced. I make decisions, change on a dime, get it done now, do it my way, hit the highway, that type of style. But I'm very happy, energetic, smiley all the time, in all other settings. So imagine being one of my staff members. Crisis hits, I don't smile. They may not know a crisis hits, right? I get a phone call and, a bus is on fire and I'm, making a beeline and I'm walking through the hall and I make no facial contact with anyone. And I have an S that's a staff member and I have looked at them cross, and for the next week, they're thinking that I hate them. Now, blind spot, I had no idea I was doing this to my staff. I had no idea I was doing this to people. And I was doing this all the time. I was doing this to parents. I was doing this all the time. That's a blind spot that in my personality, when there was an emergency, I thought I was handling it, promptly, but my D in me, handle it now, do it now, I wasn't looking at the big picture. So I want to put you in groups and I want you to think about blind spots. I want you to think about your blind spot. What are your blind spots? And you can do, I like to give you options, okay? Because we're not in school and you're adults. So here's your options. You can talk about yourself, okay? Or you can choose D, I, S, and C and give a blind spot for each one of them. What would be a blind spot for D, an I, an S, or C? Or if you're willing, in the group, share your own personal blind spot. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, the first thing you have to do in your group is select your speaker. That's number one. So select your speaker, and then you're going to do a blind spot for either each D, I, S, or C, or you can be transparent and vulnerable, which is sometimes hard, but share about your blind spot. What do you think your blind spot is after hearing what we've just gone through today? And then when we come back, we'll share. I'm going to give you about 7 minutes, okay? And then we'll come back and we'll share, and then we're gonna look at a little bit of selling to a DISC personality, to different DISC personalities, okay? Any questions? All right. All right, welcome back, everybody. You're popping back in. I see smiles. That's a good thing. So tell me which breakout room would like to go first. I popped into a few. Heard some good things going on.
So are you allowed to do that? Pop into the groups?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you just, so I can.
I'm kidding, I'm joking.
Brett David, come on, this is you.
Sorry, what was the question?
I'd like to hear from the speaker of each room.
Okay, we had a really good productive conversation. So
Two of us in the group. So me and Betsy are high D and I, and the other girl in our group, Samantha, is high S. So it was really cool to see like opposite ends of the spectrum. And since I run I run my own team, it was kind of me trying to figure out how S's work, because I know that I have an S on my team now. And Samantha and Betsy were just giving some really valuable insight on like the inner mechanisms of how each one differs and kind of blind spots that we have. And I realized even in our conversation, just making aware of how it all works, like Betsy and I were dominating the conversation basically. But one of my biggest blind spots, I know as a team leader, is I need to slow down and I need to listen and acknowledge the people on my team. So that was one of my biggest blind spots. And Betsy, you can contribute if you feel like you want to add to that.
Well, yeah. And then once we let Samantha speak, it was just amazing what she said coming from an S. It was wonderful.
See, I told you, when an S speaks, it's powerful stuff.
Which I feel like we need to pass the torch off to Samantha now, because she had some really cool stuff to add.
It was just
Where's
interesting.
Samantha? There's
I'm right
Samantha.
here.
Okay,
Can you
I
see?
got you. Yes, ma'am.
Well, it was interesting because like they said, like Betsy and Brett just kind of took over the conversation, which I'm always kind of first to listen and figure out what's going on. But during our conversation, like I could see them listening to what I was saying and then kind of start acting on their blind spots. Like something I said was like, I really like positive reinforcement. And so each time I spoke, both of them would give me some sort of compliment or positive response each time. So it was cool to see how even adjustments were made in such a short time where we're all trying to work with each other.
Now, that was like a 5 minute, we were together 5 minutes, right? And you instantly, you talked about the feeling that you had, right? Think about how you can take that if you know that someone is an S and it's your client. Think about how you could shift that into a sales conversation. If you can pick up on the blend that somebody is, and it's your client, and you can start to speak as you're showing them a house. It's huge, because if you felt that way sitting there with those two in that little, in the Zoom box, and you felt, you had that feeling of being accepted, think about what you can do with a conversation as you're showing someone a house if you start to pick up on the things that we had today. Okay, so I want you to, for the next 40 minutes, I want you to start thinking of how can I push this in and use this as I'm selling, or as I'm showing a home, or as I'm talking with a client as a phone, and start thinking that way also. So next group, great share, ladies, great share. Next group.
Well, yeah, who is the next group? You got to pick
Go
somebody?
ahead, Paul, go ahead.
Okay. Well, we all talked about how amazing it was, that how strong each of us were in every one of the quadrants. It was just, we were just so strong in every quadrant. No, it's not quite true. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses. But, we concluded that it's all good. It's all good. And we know that in any organization, you don't want everyone who is strong in any one or two quadrants. You want the blend of everybody. If everybody was a C, which is more like me, then that would not be good. So the point is, together as a team we win. But like you've been saying since we started this session, that it's important for us to understand each other and ourselves so that we can best work together as a team. That's
Excellent.
our summary.
Okay, I like it. Okay. And it's so spot on that having that blend. You can't have a bunch of D's running an office. It doesn't work. There's just a lot of change going on. constantly. You need an S and a C in there, and then you need an I to cheer everybody on.
Yes. But others in the group may want to pipe in with some other things that they thought were important from the conversation. So maybe we should
Okay.
open that up.
Who else was in Paul's group?
For example, Robin or Sandra, something. No? Okay.
India, she said that as a D, her blind spot was details. Well, as a C, my strength is details. So we would balance each other to create that stronger team.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Any other groups want to share?
So our group had a good blend of 3 of the 4, D, I, and S. Actually, the one that was S, her secondary was C. So it was interesting to hear different perspectives of our own, shortcomings and our strengths, and then maybe how we interpret from our viewpoint what the other letters' strengths and weaknesses potentially are, just from past experiences. So for D, we had a blind spot could be considering other people's feelings or their interpretation or perspective of things, which I think, Walter, you had a really good example of that when you're, just doing things that need to be done, and then somebody else is like, why does he hate me? Because that's truly what happens in life, and we don't always grow out of that. So being aware of it is really important on both sides. So we know that, if you're an S, you're not personally offended when somebody's doing something, because that's just how they operate or need to operate right now. And maybe it can be a later conversation. On the D side, they could maybe rework the way they do things if they're aware of the people that they're around. For I, we had attention span, which I was high I, followed by D. Tally in my group was also I. And so we both very much agree with the short attention span, or getting easily distracted as a blind spot. For S, one of our blind spots was maybe enjoying the experience while it's happening, or from another perspective, it was broken trust. Since loyalty is so large, being able to move forward with a relationship with somebody if they have broken the trust. And then for C, we put a blind spot of flexibility.
Wow, great insight there. I want to, you bring up a great point of, just doing things and you're not aware. I want to show you, if I was to give you a full DISC assessment of one of the things that I would share with you on an individual report. The individual report that we give you is, it's a 32-page report. But you'll see, can you all see this graph? We give you 3 graphs here. First graph is what you see yourself as, and your private self, and then how you perceive yourself. And this is, this private self really comes out when you're under pressure, under stress, and you see like the S on this graph for this individual. That's what happens when he's under stress. And you'll see, like, if I tried to find mine real fast while you were talking. I didn't have it ready, but my D under stress, like, is up here. It skyrockets off the chart. This 0 on this chart, that's like even keel. But each one of these characteristics with the blend, it goes up and down. And when it's below the 0, that's where we say, with coaching, with, study and learning, we can do some growth. And when it gets real high, there's also, you've got some blind spots and some work to do. But, there's get your public self, how you put yourself out there. yourself under stress, and then how you see yourself in the mirror. Okay, that's really you. And what I say, this is you on the couch at home, you know, reading a book or watching TV. That's you. But I'm glad you brought that up. So anyone else want to share before we dive in and kind of bring things home here? All right. Well, just thank you for sharing. And I know that sometimes that's difficult, but we are talking about communication. We are talking about a little bit stepping outside of your comfort zone. And just, I want to give you some strategies about communicating. And I want you to think about it from, you know, not just talking, but also selling, okay? And, you know, maybe it's, you know, I think it was Robin who said, you know, I'm a D or I'm a C and she's a D. That's great also, you know, the people you work with. But when you're looking at going to the next level with your business, you know, I don't know where you are. Maybe you're looking at building your business. Maybe you're looking at adding someone on. You know, use this information for exactly what you need it. But if it is selling, put it in that box. If it's building your business and you're adding a partner, you know, put it in that box. But use it for what you need. But communicating with a D, you just want to give them the facts. Don't bore them with details. Ask the what and the how questions. Give them results. Don't ramble. And discuss a problem and its effect and its outcomes. Now, I was very intentional about that transition we just had because I rambled. I don't know if you caught that. Those of you that were D's were sitting there going, come on, get to the point. That's why I did that. It was an intentional ramble, just to kind of show you that if you're a D, you drifted and you were gone and you shifted to something else. But that's how fast you can lose someone with rambling. Communicating with an I. Don't do all the talking. Don't ignore their ideas. They're going to come, I's have ideas all the time and they want different things all the time. When you have a phone call with an I, or you have a client that's an I, it's not a 5-minute phone call. It's going to be more like 15 minutes. Okay? Give yourself extra time, especially if you're a D, because you are a scheduled person. And if you know your client is an I, pad your schedule so you're not stressed and so you're not looking at your watch. If you have an I client and you start looking at your watch, you're going to upset them. It's a trigger for them and they're like, oh, they don't even want to spend time with me. So if you have an I client and you start looking at your watch, and D's do this all the time with I's. You look at your watch, you set them off. So allow time for socializing and follow up in writing. And if you have an I teammate, and we all need I teammates. We all have I teammates. Short meetings. 40 minutes is too long. Short meetings. 10 minutes, okay? Thank you. 10 minutes is much better. S's. Our S's are awesome. I love S's. Very friendly. Do not come at an S in an aggressive tone. D's, you will do this and you won't do it on purpose, but if you come at that aggressive tone with an S, you're going to upset them. Always show interest in an S. If you know you have an S, you got to be friendly. No confrontation. Give them definitions, and everyone has to have a role. S's want to know that what everyone's role is. And if you're going to change something, they've got to be the first to know. If you're changing things in the organization, and I'm telling you, even if it's like, even if you think it's small, if you're changing like the layout on a pamphlet or the website, make sure Samantha make sure right? Nod your head. Make sure Samantha knows. Because it just upsets their world. That's just the way they're wired. They want to know. Give them the information first. It will save time and it will help them. It just helps them function better. Communicating with a C. Give them all the details. All of the details. They need details. When you give them the facts, validate it. Validate it. There's a reason why I talked about Marston in the very beginning. Because if there's any C's in here, you've got to have some kind of proof. If there's a C in here, and I wouldn't have said anything about the guy who created the DISC personality assessment way back in the 20s, they would have been questioning, the validity of DISC. You've got to give some background. You've got to validate. And I said this earlier, if you got to see client, they're the ones asking you all the questions. They've got questions about everything. So today we talked about all these patterns, talked about how someone is wired. We talked about building connections. And there you have it. You've got DISC, you've got building relationships. You're ready, right? You got DISC. You're ready to go out and kill it. You know that D's and I's are outgoing. You know that C's and S's are reserved. D's and C's are task first. I's and S's, relationships first. Now you're ready. You are ready to achieve your goals. You're ready to get the most out of your day. You're ready to just be completely successful. You're ready to take on the world. Be honest. Go ahead. What did that little voice in your head say right now? You talked about that little voice. Don't answer that, because I know it wouldn't be appropriate in the chat box. Hopefully you can apply some of what we covered today. Hopefully it may change. It may change how you communicate. Hopefully it may help a little bit how you sell. But something that I want to share, that I want to give you is what I call ACT. It's apply, act, and teach. So hopefully you can apply, change, or teach something from this next part. I've given you the basics of DISC, and if you want to go deeper, we can go deeper. That's not a problem. But part of with what we've learned and what we talked about is, going uphill, and how do you stay uphill? And we've all been going through change and this crazy time that we live in. But how do you stay at the pace that we're going? Some of you may be doing fantastic. Some of you may be struggling. But several years ago, I was asked 3 questions by John Maxwell. And those 3 questions were all about my purpose. It was my very first mentoring call with John. And he said to me, what's your purpose? And I said, my purpose is serving youth. And I said, he looked at me and he said, mm-mm. He said, no, what's your purpose? What's your passion? I said, well, my passion is all about seeing youth succeed. And he looked at me and, you ever feel completely out of place, like you don't belong, you need to crawl into a hole? That was that time, And he said, Walter, what makes you laugh? And I was like, what? And he said, what makes you cry? And he said, what makes you dream? And I just sat there. And he said, when you can answer those three questions, you can define your purpose. And I said, John, laugh, cry, dream, purpose, passion. And as I said that, it hit me. Purpose, passion equals heart. The more passion you have, passion equals energy. It all comes from the heart. The more that we do, the more that we have to struggle. Great passion, great energy. See, dreams, it's all an uphill struggle. You all have a dream for success. In dreams, it's dreams, struggle, success. Dreams, struggle, success. That's what it takes to reach significance. And if that's what you're trying to do, you're trying to reach significance, I gave you ideas, I gave you some different tools to help you get to the next level of success. But what makes you laugh? What makes you cry? What makes you dream? That's the passion question. And after you ask yourself that question 3 million times, and you go over it, and you'll have that conversation with you. And whether you call that conversation self-talk, self-belief, self-encouragement, whatever, know that we could spend another 3 weeks on the topics that we covered today. But know that your beliefs drive your behavior. Your beliefs drive your behavior. And as entrepreneurs, real estate agents, moms, dad, uncles, aunts, we deal with tough stuff every day. You hear no every day. You hear no all the time. And we've been trained ever since we were little that no is a bad thing. We've been trained that no is a bad thing. But I challenge you today that no is one step closer to your yes. No is one step closer to your yes, and that no is one step closer to your yes. What is your no number? What is your no number? I know how many no's I have to hear before I get my next speaking gig. How many no's do you have to hear before you close the deal? We all have that voice. We all have Lucy in our ear when we have the agency down the road telling us, the agency down the road is doing more. Why can't you? We all have, and why can't you just get a real job? Why are you, doing this? Why are you doing that? We all have that voice. You haven't sold anything this week, and so has. My voice is in my head all the time telling me you weren't good enough. You weren't made for this. Drop in, give yourself a gratitude moment, wrap it up. Count your no number as one step closer to your yes. Don't think no, think yes. Negative judgments didn't exist until someone told you you couldn't do something. So we need to wrap up, and I want to wrap up with this. Beliefs were created 2 ways. With emotions, sudden impact happened, and spaced repetition in time. Your parents, they said something negative to you. They didn't mean to, or whatever, something happened like that. But as a child, you couldn't reason with that. Beliefs drive your behavior. You tell yourself something positive, and you continue to believe it. Think positive about your nose, and it will be good. Start to say up until now, and things will happen. At the bottom of the screen is a turning point on every single slide. Your turning point can be today of a change in your life. Problems that you've had, things that haven't been successful, whatever it may be, everything in your life changes. Some turning points happen just like that. What is your turning point today? What change, what awareness came to you today? Write that down on your sheet of paper and make it happen. because your beliefs about today will drive your behavior for tomorrow. There's so much more that we can do. There's so much more I'd love to do with you. If you want to take a deeper dive in anything that we've done, I'm available all the time. I've got several more books to give away. I don't know the best way to do that because I'm 2 minutes over. So I'll leave that up to Sonia. And
I'd love one.
if you'd love one, I don't know if I can give my email out or how you'd like to do that, Sonia. Sonia, you have my contact information, so you just tell me how to do that.
I do. So if anyone will just contact me, I will send that over to Walter.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Walter. Really enjoyed it this morning. Great information. And I hope everybody on the call enjoyed it. If the small brokerage folks can hang on to the call for just after, and if you're with a larger firm, if you want to go ahead and get off the meeting, I just have a couple of items to wrap up with the group. Thank you.